Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'll be discussing to you about solving quadratic equation by extracting square roots. This is a grade 9 lesson for week 1 in the first quarter. Our main objective for having this lesson is to solve quadratic equation by extracting square root. A quadratic equation written in the form x squared equals k, meaning to say that the quadratic term x squared is on the left side and k is on the right side of the equation, can be solved by applying the following properties. First property, if k is greater than 0, then x squared equals k has two real solutions or two real roots, and that is equal to plus minus square root of k. Second property, if k equals 0, then x squared equals k has one real solution or root, and that is x equals 0. Third property, if k is less than 0, then x squared equals k has no real solution or roots. The method of solving the quadratic equation in the form x squared equals k is called extracting square roots. Now, let's have example number 1. Find the solutions of the equation x squared equals 49 by extracting the square root. So for our solution, we have here the given equation is x squared equals 49. So since equation is already in the form of x squared equals k, because the quadratic term, which is x squared, is already on the left side and 49 is already on the right side, we can now easily get the square root of both sides of the equation. So the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 49 is positive and negative 7. That is why we have here plus minus 7. Why we have plus minus 7? If we're going to multiply 7 by itself, 7 times 7, the answer is 49. And if we're going to multiply also negative 7, it will give result to positive 49. That is why the square root of 49 is positive and negative 7. Now, to check whether the values that we obtain is correct, we can check that one by substituting the value to the original equation. The given equation was x squared equals 49. So if x equals 7, we're going to substitute this time x by 7. So we have 7 squared. Is 7 squared, is that equal to 49? Now we will check. So 7 times 7, that is 49. So we have now a balanced equation. Therefore, the value that we obtain for x, which is equal to 7, is correct. Now, we are going to check if x equals negative 7 satisfy also the equation. The same process, we have to copy first the given equation, x squared equals 49. Then after that, substitute x by negative 7. Then, remember that if it is negative, do not forget to write the grouping symbol, open and the close parenthesis. So quantity of negative 7 squared equals 49. So is that equal? Okay, we will try to check. So negative 7 squared meaning negative 7 times negative 7, and the answer for that is positive 49. So if you have observed, we have also a true equation. So since it satisfied the equation, we can now conclude that the solutions are 7 and negative 7. Let's proceed with example number 2. Find the solutions of the equation x squared minus 9 equals 0 by extracting square root. So this time, if you have observed, the given equation is not in the form of x squared equals k. So what are we going to do with this is we're going to write this one so we can have it in the form of x squared equals k. So this is the given x squared minus 9 equals 0. So this time I will use transposition. The word is transpose. So possibly we can apply also properties, but in order to shorten the solution, I will just use the term transpose. Okay? This is negative transpose to the other side of the equation, so it will become positive. Okay? So we have now the resulting equation x squared equals 9, which is already in the form of x squared equals k. So since k is greater than 0, we are expecting that we have two real roots under the first property. Then you get the square root of both sides of the equation. So we have the square root of x squared, we have x, and the square root of 9 is, of course, positive and negative 3. Again, why we have 3 as the square root of 9? It's because when we're going to multiply 3 by itself, 3 times 3, it will give result to 9. And also, when we're going to multiply negative 3 times negative 3, the answer also is positive 9. Now, to check whether the answer that we obtain is correct, we really have to check that. First, if x equals 3, the resulting equation will become 3 squared minus 9 equals 0. The same process, we have to substitute our x by 3. And 3 squared minus 9 equals 0. Is that a balanced equation? Now we will check. So 3 squared meaning 3 times 3. And the answer for that is 9. So you copy minus 9. So 9 minus 9 is equal to 0. And you copy the remaining term on the right side of the equation. We have equals 0. So if you have observed, we have a balanced equation. So therefore, the value that we obtain, which is x equals 3, is correct. Now, if x equals negative 3, so this time we're going to substitute x by negative 3. So first, copy the given equation. Next, substitute x by negative 3. And then you simplify quantity of negative 3 squared minus 9 equals 0. Okay, is that a balanced equation or a true equation? Okay, so quantity of negative 3 squared, the answer for that is 9 because negative 3 times negative 3 equals 9 and 9 minus 9 equals 0. So we have here a true equation. So since it satisfies the equation, we can now conclude that the solutions are 3 and negative 3. Moving on with the third example. Find the solution of the equation x squared minus 8 equals 0 by extracting square root. First, we have to rewrite the equation in the form x squared equals k. So, since the given equation is x squared minus 8 equals 0, we have to transpose negative 8 to the other side of the equation. So, negative 8 becomes positive 8. So it is now in the form of x squared equals k. Next, get the square root of both sides of the equation. So square root of x squared is x. Then we have plus minus square root of 8. If you have observed, 8 is not a perfect square number. When we say perfect square number, there is an exact whole number root. Okay, so what are we going to do with this? So, we are going to factor out 8 wherein one of the factors is a perfect square. So, there is no other factors wherein one is a perfect square that will give result to 8. Only 4 and 2. We have 4 times 2. The answer for that is 8. And 4 is a perfect square. So this is a perfect factors for this. Okay? Now, since you have already factors wherein one of the factors is a perfect square, the next thing that we are going to do is we can now extract the root of a perfect square number. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we are going now to write 2 outside the radical sign. Okay? This 2 which is outside the radical sign is actually coming from the square root of 4. And this 2 here, you just write it inside the radical sign because there is no exact whole number root because this is not a perfect square number. So our answer now is x equals plus minus 2 square root of 2. Now let's try to check if it will satisfy the equation x squared minus 8 equals 0. If x equals positive 2 square root of 2, then the resulting equation will become quantity of 2 square root of 2 squared minus 8 equals 0. So how are we going to simplify this one? Quantity of 2 square root of 2 squared. Okay. 2, you have here squared. 2 squared is 4. Next, square root of 2 squared. Remember that any number inside the radical sign and being raised to the power of 2, the answer for that is always the value of the radicand. Okay? Again, whatever be the value inside the radical sign, and this is called radicand, as long as it is raised to the power of 2 and the radical sign is square root sign, the answer is only equal to the radicand. That is why we have here 2. Then you copy minus 8 equals 0. Then multiply 4 times 2, the answer is 8. Then you copy minus 8. Then you copy equals 0. So 8 minus 8 equals 0. So 8 minus 8 is of course 0. And now we have a balanced equation. So therefore, the value of x, 2 square root of 2 is correct. Now if x equals negative 2 square root of 2, the same process we have to substitute our x by negative 2 square root of 2. And quantity of negative 2 square root of 2 squared minus 8 equals 0. So we have to simplify this one. So the same, negative 2 squared. So quantity of negative 2 squared meaning negative 2 times negative 2, the answer is positive 4. This time we have square root of 2 squared. As what I have said, any number inside a square root sign raised to the power of 2, the answer is always the number. So we have here 2. Why 2? If we're going to simplify further, we have square root of 2 times square root of 2. The answer for that is square root of 4. And square root of 4 is of course 2. Okay? So to shorten the long solution, you just remember that as long as it is a square root sign and there is a number inside the square root sign raised to the power of 2, the answer for that is always the number inside the radical sign. Okay, then we are now going to simplify further. So 4 times 2, the answer is 8. And then you copy minus 8 equals 0. So 8 minus 8, of course, we have 0. And we have now also a true equation. So we can now say that the solutions are 2 square root of 2 and negative 2 square root of 2. Now let's have the fourth example. Find the solutions of the equation x squared plus 8 equals 8 by extracting square root. So first, copy the equation. Second is, write the equation in the form x squared equals k. So we're going to transpose 8 to the other side of the equation. So we have here x squared, and then you copy this 8, and this positive 8 becomes negative 8. So we have 8 minus 8, the answer is 0. This is the second property, that if k is equal to 0, we only have one real solution. And of course, it is equal to 0. So, the square root of x squared is x, and of course, the square root of 0 is 0. Why only 0? Because 0 is a neutral number. It's not negative nor positive. That's why we only have one root, which is 0. So, to check, the same process we have to copy the original equation, x squared plus 8 equals 0. So in here, I have just substituted right away. So this is the value of x. And then you have 0 squared plus 8 equals 8. And then, of course, 0 squared is 0. And then 0 plus 8 is 8. So do we have balanced equation? Of course, we have 8 equals 8, meaning it satisfied the equation. So we can now conclude that the solution is 0. Moving on with the fifth example. Find the solutions of the equation 3 times the quantity of x plus 4 squared equals 36 by extracting the square root. So this is the given equation. Our target is to rewrite the equation in the form of x squared equals k. But we have here another problem. We also have here 3. Okay? So what are we going to do in order to eliminate 3? So we have to apply division property of equality, wherein we are going to divide both sides of the equation by 3 to eliminate 3 here. So we have here to divide 3. Okay? So once we're going to divide this one by 3, so on the left side of the equation, we only have quantity of x plus 4 squared. And on the right side, 36 divided by 3, we have 12. Now, next is we're going to get now the square root of both sides of the equation. So, square root of quantity of x plus 4 squared equals square root of 12. And as what I have said, any number or quantity being squared and then you're going to extract the square root, the answer is always the given number or the given quantity. So we have here quantity of x plus 4 squared. The square root of this is equal to x plus 4. And on the right side of the equation, we have plus minus because we have here two roots, 12. So again, 12 also is not a perfect square number. So what are we going to do? The same with the previous example, we are going to factor out 12, wherein one of the factors is a perfect square number. So no other factors of 12 wherein 1 is a perfect square number, only 4 and 3. So next, we are going to get the square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. We're going to write the square root of 2 outside the radical sign. And this number 3 will remain inside the radical sign. Okay? So, we have now the resulting equation of x plus 4 equals plus minus 2 square root of 3. Next is, we're going to solve for x. So, we still have here 4. What are we going to do with this 4 is we're going to transpose 4 to the other side of the equation. So since it is positive, transpose it will become negative. So we have now negative 4 plus minus 2 square root of 3. And we have here the two values of x, which are negative 4 plus 2 square root of 3 and negative 4 minus 2 square root of 3. Now, if you really want to check if the answer that we obtain is really correct, then we will check. So, if x equals negative 4 plus 2 square root of 3, then we are going to substitute x by this value. So we have 3, copy, then x will be substituted by negative 4 plus 2 square root of 3. Then you copy 4. And of course, the exponent 2 then equals 36. Now, the question is, how are we going to simplify this one? Okay, first, you just copy 3. Then next, you can combine negative 4 and 4. And negative 4 and 4 is 0. So, no need to write 0. So, next, we have here 2. 2 squared is 4. Then, we have square root of 3 squared. The answer for that is 3. So we have to multiply 4 times 3, that is 12. Just copy 3 as well as 36 on the right side of the equation. And then multiply 4 times 3, the answer is 12. Do we have a balanced equation or a true equation? Now, let's check. 3 times 12 is 36. So, 36 equals 36. So, if you have observed, we have here a balanced equation. So, therefore, the value that we obtain, negative 4 plus 2 square root of 3, is correct. How about if x equals negative 4 minus 2 square root of 3? So the given equation is 3 times quantity of x plus 4 squared equals 36. So this time, substitute your x. So you copy 3, then the value of x, substitute. So we have negative 4 minus 2 square root of 3. And you just copy 4, and of course, exponent 2, then equals 36. Then simplify. So the same, you copy 3. Again, there are terms that we can still combine inside the grouping symbol. So we have negative 4 and 4. So the answer for that is 0. Next is, we can simplify negative 2 squared. Negative 2 squared, the answer is positive 4. Negative 2 times negative 2. Then we have here square root of 3 squared. The answer is 3. As what I have said, any number raised to the power of 2 as long as it is inside a square root sign or radical sign. So the answer is always a number. Or if we're going to simplify further, that is square root of 3 times square root of 3. The answer is square root of 9. The square root of 9 is 3. So just remember that whatever be the number inside the radical sign, and as long as it is raised to the power of 2, the answer is always the number. Now we have to copy 36. Next, we have to simplify or multiply 4 times 3. We copy 3. 4 times 3 is of course 12. Do we really have a balanced equation or a true equation? That is the question. So now 3 times 12, the answer is 36. Equals 36. So therefore, we have a balanced or a true equation. So we can now conclude that the solutions that we obtain are correct. So the solutions are negative 4 plus 2 square root of 3 and negative 4 minus 2 square root of 3 is really correct. Okay? Example number 6. Find the solutions of the equation quantity of x minus 2 squared plus 11 minus 8 by extracting square root. First, copy the equation. Next, rewrite the equation in the form of x squared equals k. So this time we have here a constant term of 11. We're going to transpose to the other side. So on the left side we have to copy quantity of x minus 2 squared. Then you have to copy 8. So positive 11 becomes negative 11. So we have now quantity of x minus 2 squared equals 8 minus 11. And 8 minus 11 is negative 3. So under the third property that if k is less than 0, meaning negative numbers, we have no real solution or no real root. So therefore, since the value of k is less than 3 because it's negative 3, we can easily conclude that there is no real solution for this equation because you are talking about real solution. Okay, you are done with that. But let me prove to you that the solution for this is not really a real number. Okay, it's an imaginary number. So it's here. So if we're going to solve, the solution for this is actually imaginary numbers. But this is not covered to you, but when you're going to study higher mathematics, you can encounter with this. Okay? So, we have this square root of quantity of x minus 4 squared equals square root of negative 3 squared. So, when we are going to extract the remaining term on the left side of the equation is quantity of x minus 4. And we have here plus minus square root of negative 3. Then, negative 4 transpose to the other side becomes positive 4. Plus minus square root of negative 3. If you're going to check that on your calculator, the result would be error or syntax error because it does not exist. That is why it's called imaginary. Imaginary. Okay? It's not real. But I just want to prove that it's not real. But this one, my dear students, will be taken when you will be dealing with the higher mathematics. But for grade 9, you exclude this one. This is just an advanced learning to all of you. Okay? So now, how are we going to simplify square root of negative 3? Actually, we can simplify that one as I squared times 3. So meaning, negative 3 can be expounded as negative 1 times 3. Negative, and that negative 1 is equal to I squared. Okay? So to eliminate the negative, so we can really extract. So now we can now get the square root of I squared. So the square root of I squared is I. That's why we have imaginary. And we remain 3 inside the radical sign. So our answer for this is 4 plus minus I square root of 3. So the number does not exist. That's why it's imaginary. But this one is only an additional learning that you will be dealing this in your higher math. Okay? So I hope that you learned something for our lesson. Again, remember that life is sometimes like an equation. Many see it as full of complication, but always remember every equation has a solution. all less problem have exact solution. Thank you for watching, guys, and if in case you did not understand, you just play it again and again and again. Bye and God bless you all.